All right, so we're back, episode 3. Here we go. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. It's we're staying on it, so I like
We
that.
are. We got
I like
to.
the consistency we got going on.
Me too. Me
Uh,
too. And it's very important too because it's our lives.
yeah, it's basically all we think about here. So let's,
Yes.
I've gotten some feedback that people were ready for this episode because we've teased it the last 2, I think. So, so let's just dive into it. Where we were at the end of the last episode, we talked about, and I want to focus more on you in this story here because this is a big story and it's
Okay.
it's entertaining. So
Always is.
we ended the last episode talking about how you got started with the 3 gyms, how you raised the money for that. You opened up your first one. Immediately, you knew you wanted to open multiples. Through that process, you continue to grow the business, grow it into 2 more locations after that. Things seem to be going well. You said you were profitable from day one, which is great. Again, I find pretty rare in business, I think, but amazing. And then all of a sudden 2020 comes around.
Right? March 2020, March 15th.
March 15th, 2020, March 2020, we all will have ingrained in our brains forever. It was something that's never happened in our lifetime. Hopefully never happens again, but who knows? But that was when COVID first came to be a thing, right?
Yep. Well, manufactured thing, but we're not here to talk about that.
Okay, so it became a nationwide shutdown. Put the mask on, get your vaccines, stay inside. Nobody could leave the house. Businesses were closing, restaurants and everything were closing. You couldn't
save grandma, anywhere. Stay out of the sun because vitamin D helps with the virus. Don't work out because you could be in a super spreader event, even though building your immunities is the number one way to stay alive. Yep, all that stuff.
Yep. So let's go back to when you first heard of COVID. Do you remember where you were, what was happening?
100%. So funny story. I take my vacation at the end of the winters to Florida. I'm actually down here. I had been there the last 3 winters, and I am driving March 8th, 9th, and 10th. I am in Atlanta, Georgia, at my good friend's house. You know him as well. He's been on the pod. And we're watching the TV, and the counter starts, the death counter. And, you're in it. Everybody's in it, and they have their own way. And I'm not going to make this about COVID because at the end of the day, everybody that was wrong is going to pretend that, people were just trying to be careful. But it was atrocious. We know that now, obviously, that last week coming out with Fauci's pleading the 5th. But let's not even get into that. I'm driving up from Atlanta, and I am on my way back to the business. I get there on the 10th of March, and it's like we get the heads up, which is so crazy to me. This thing's coming out. This virus, it's going to get everybody. It's a respiratory disease. It's killing old people. It's killing everybody. I mean, it can kill everybody. We could have mass deaths. And they say, right around middle of March, they say, like, listen, this is the very beginning. Like, we don't know what this is. And next Friday, which is the 15th, we're going to shut everything down. Don't worry about the 12th, 13th, 14th. Next Friday, May 15th, there's a national shutdown.
Right.
I've got 3 gyms going, and it comes, and business as usual for me. I listen, all my friends, and they're going to watch this, and they're going to play the game, put their head in the sand. Oh, you're still talking about the mask. You're still talking about this. Oh, it didn't affect. Who cares? Who cares? Well, obviously you didn't care because you said they told me to do this, so I did it. A lot of these people, even if they're not on that side of the political spectrum, whatever it may be, they ponied up. They did what they were told. I didn't do what I was told. I had 2 young kids at the house, and I was not going to have my livelihood shut down because somebody said so in the government, and they're making new laws that all of a sudden we must follow for health emergency. I mean, health club. So March 15th happens. I guess everybody complies and shuts down except for one little gym. Now, remember, before they even started labeling it, hey, you are a business that is, what was the word? You were like, if you were a good business that could stay open, what did they call them? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, no. But like Home Depot could stay open, but the small little gas.
Like a necessity or something.
Yeah, exactly. Which is bullshit because I mean, what you can't get it at Home Depot when you're buying, plywood for your deck, but you can in a health club. So anyway, long story short, 2 weeks go by. I'm staying open, not enforcing mask mandate, not enforcing anything that's illegally put on citizens. If they want to come in and wear a mask, by all means. If they want to, not come in, fine. But here was the crazy part. As this is happening, people on every political spectrum, and by the way, up in Vermont, tons of crazy left liberals and tons of your far crazy right people. Like it's so much of a mix, okay? In Vermont, it's very crazy. No gun laws, but trans, litter boxes in the high school bathrooms for trans cats, okay? So what's happening is next thing you know, the cops are showing up because other businesses that closed and complied were like, that's not fair. We can't make money, but he still is. And I'm like, well, yeah, because you're choosing that. Everyone could have jumped on board and everyone could have been on board and said, this don't sound right. This makes zero sense. Follow the science is a complete psyop lie. And what we're going to do is we're going to, if people don't want to come in, whatever happened to my body, my choice. This is Vermont, the bluest.
Clarify for me. So was it a mandate that you close, or it was? You're saying it was optional, and you chose to stay open.
Mandate. It was a nationwide mandate.
So you were supposed to close.
Says who? See, I get my law. Like if something's unconstitutional, they're trying to put tyrannical new laws on the books. I don't stand for that, no matter what.
Okay,
so that's what they tried to do.
Mandatory. If the government says it's mandatory, that
the governor of the state of Vermont said every business except the ones we say have to close. So McDonald's can stay open, the liquor stores can stay open, but Club Fitness of Vermont, you must close. Here comes the Google, and away you go on the video to, thing. But so, and it's crazy. So I didn't shut down. Cops showing up every single day. But lawfully, what are they going to do? They can't really arrest me. They can only ask me because these are new laws. No one's ever heard of this. You can't just go in there on my property that I pay rent for and just say you can't open.
Right.
So it happens. 2 weeks to slow the spread turned into 2 years. And so eventually, I get the call from the Attorney General of the state of Vermont saying, Sean, you've got 2 more days. If you don't close down, we're going to sue you. And we're going to close you down.
Let's step back for a second. So when you decided you were going to
as he's pulling up a video to put in there.
When you decided you were going to stay open, how did your actual...
How about this? I decided I wasn't going to close because some guy said to.
Okay, well, how did your actual gym members take that? Were they happy for you? Were they? I would say
70%. I would say 70% of the gym members didn't come in. They listened. They complied.
Okay, so obviously attendance at the gym was way down, but the few that were there, were they kind of like?
And we're getting all the gym people from the other gyms that were closed coming in. And eventually I was like, okay, do I do a day fee? Do I do a monthly? Because I could have gouged, but I didn't. I'm like, you know what? They want to stay healthy during this crazy time. Just come on in. I had policemen in there. I had people from the state house come in there. Literal lawmakers and law enforcement worked out there as their buddies are in. A funny story. I have 2 cops come in. One guy, you know the type. The 10-minute mile, he's in there just trying to be. And then you have another guy, a sergeant, that's really cool. Not wearing the mask, comes in talking to his fellow worker. Hey, and she's like, hey, what's going on? They're having a 15-minute conversation in my lobby, right? No problem. This guy goes out, writes a thing to the state of Vermont saying, I saw no hand sanitizer. I saw no sprays. This place is going to kill people. But meanwhile, his sergeant goes in there and having a random conversation with an unmasked law enforcement officer in the middle of my gym. So obviously this is bullshit. Obviously this isn't lawful. Obviously and this is the worst part of it all. And I don't want to out anybody with names, but I knew somebody that was very close to the sergeant, and he's like, he thinks it's such bullshit, but it's his job. And at some point that scares me, because if law enforcement isn't going to stand up for what's right, when something goes wrong and tyranny happens, you're going to run into this.
Right. So how did the rest of the community respond to? Did you have protesters outside?
Oh boy. Yeah. So I had both. So way up north in Vermont, it's pretty red, like it's like Republican. And they hated me too, because they're like, all these old men from the sticks were like, we're going to come down and do a protest that you stay open. And I didn't go there that day, because like what would happen is like they'd want to come either like on a Saturday after we closed after 2:00, like 4:00 Saturday. We're going to be there supporting you. And I appreciate the support, but I got things to do. You know what I mean? I'm trying to survive here. So I had this one group that came up. They brought like 30 people, and they were going to protest out there. And I happened to not be there. I guess they still kind of did their thing there, and people took pictures. But like, they're mad I'm not taking their side. Because remember, I'm not on anybody's side here. I'm just not going to listen to a tyrannical made-up law that they decided because they wanted to. They don't have authority over me like that.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
Now, a lot of people just stuck it, they're, turned away and said, I'll deal with this later, and just say, I didn't care. You know what I mean? And I did care, because I think setting the example means a lot. And as much as these people want to deny it, that said, oh, yeah, whatever. There's a lot of people, I kind of did get a little in my feelings of like people that have been members for a long time that really had a good relationship with me. And now they're saying the blood's going to be on my hand when people die. And, I had the news coming there every single day, wanting to get interviews as much as humanly. I probably talked to 15 news articles. I was on Fox and Friends in the morning. They wanted to get my take, but it was like I have these cackling people when I was on fire, and it's just like they're almost making it about them, and I'm making it more about like, why are people just listening to whatever these people say just because they said it? This is insanity to me.
Right. So you got your first kind of slap on the wrist.
No. That was a slap on the wrist. They just weren't going to sue me. They said, you're going to shut down tomorrow. So the AG said you got 2 days. Once again, if it was really that bad and I was killing people, why don't you bring the National Guard and shut my doors? You give me 2 more days. I told him I was going to pray about it. And he really thought that Friday morning that I was going to, fold and shut my doors down. And I said, you know what? This is what's right. I have kids. They're going to look back on this one day, and I don't want them to be like, my father just folded to tyranny and just said, I'm going to go with whatever they tell me, even though it's completely wrong and unconstitutional. So I said, I'm going to remain open. That afternoon, he drives from our state capital down to Rutland City and puts in the lawsuit. I get the lawsuit, and I get the threat of arrest. Finally, I made a 4-minute video, and I said, I'm not going to get arrested in front of my kids. I'm not going to fold, but I'm going to battle this a different way. They said all in-person inside workouts were not allowed anymore. And if I did that, I'd be subject to arrest. What do? Moved every 5 a.m. the next morning, pulled all my stuff in the parking lot. People still came. We're doing full-on workouts in the parking lot. They come back saying, nope, this still isn't right. Now I get a ton of news coverage over there. Like, oh, you're still working out. You're not shut down. Well, the lawsuit said inside. They go back, change the lawsuit to indoor and outdoor. And then at that point, I was just like, okay, we're going to ride this out. We're going to see what happens. I didn't get arrested. I ended up, at this point, I ended up saying like, okay, they're going to show up every single day at my gym, and why I think the police did that. And they started parking right in my front parking lot of my place. And what I think they were doing is they were deterring people from coming in there themselves, and which I think is another crazy move that they would do. And they would just say every morning 40, 50 calls would come in that we're open. But no one called on Home Depot.
Right.
No one called on the liquor store.
Right. So when did the actual court, you having to basically show up in court, start happening?
Well, so that's COVID, remember. And this is one of the things I think COVID did perfect for a state like Vermont. I believe they still have Zoom court hearings, which is ridiculous. Oh, so right. Okay. I did all my stuff on Zoom. Now, May comes, June comes, July. At that point, through the summer, I'm like, well, now they're going to shut my business down. Like, I'm not going to survive. Like, I even said, like, can I go in there just myself? So, like, myself, my wife, my kids, can I go into my own gym? No, you will be trespassed from your own property by the state. I mean, it was insanity. So I get the lawyer. Now, when the lawyer comes, now I don't say anything. I don't talk to the state. They put 3 lawyers. And we said this actually in our mediation at the very end, because they settled. They dropped all charges. I think it was built up to like $50,000, $60,000 in fines. And everything was like, if I don't take this, it would have gone to like, the circuit district court, and possibly, I'd still be in this, maybe in the Supreme Court. I wasn't willing to give up my life for this fight of my business. So it's not that I folded by letting them have what they wanted. I wasn't going to take an arrest. And I'm like, well, they're not going to let me do my business here, and they're literally going to shut down my livelihood. I have kids. I have a wife. I have to make money. So I moved to Florida. And when I got here in October, I did my final Zoom call in my house here in Florida. And, it was every twice a week. I think I was on the phone with them. They hired 3 lawyers, super expensive for the state, I'm sure. But at the end of the day, no harm, no foul. The only thing I had to sign, which it sucks, but I left Vermont at that point. I was in Florida. I said I was never able to sue the state of Vermont again about this. So I can't come back later on and be like, oh, you put me out of business and you took all my money.
Right. So the settlement basically included what?
Well, no, not a settlement of money. So the settlement meant I on paper owed all this money. It was like $1,000 a day for every day you're open. So if I'm open for 60 days, it's $60,000. So I don't have to pay anything. I'm good to go. I'm already in Florida. I'm already plotting what I'm going to do next, which brings us where we're at. But I got a lot of good feedback from that as well. And the people that were mad at me, and then here's the crazy part. Come to find out, I was right. They were wrong. Health and wellness was the number one thing to stop people from getting a bad case of COVID. And I should have not only been open, essential. That was non-essential or essential businesses. I was one of the most essential businesses in the country. Not Home Depot, not the liquor stores.
Yeah.
Well, you would have probably just gone, right? Did you wear a mask when they told you to the grocery store? Be honest.
Let me ask you this question, because you said this earlier in the call. You were like, "Oh, my friends are going to go. Here you go again on your mask and COVID rant, blah blah blah." And I have to ask you, because I've known you 5+ years probably now, something like that.
You see me wear a lot of masks, I bet.
No, but I have heard you talk about COVID and the jab and the mask so many times. It never stops with you. You always,
and if it does,
always go back to it.
Why do you think that is? I'm going to ask you, why do you think that is?
Well, I'm about to ask you why that is, because I feel like, is this your most proudest moment, this COVID fight? Is this your most proudest fight you've ever had with business?
No, it's my most upsetting fight, because I didn't take it further, and I should have took it further. Honestly, if I could do it again, I'm going to the Supreme Court and winning there.
Okay, so it's your most. You're still frustrated by this whole
frustrated. And I'm not even frustrated with myself. I'm frustrated with the compliance of 85% of all of America, because they're the reason they allowed this state legislature to shut me down. Because if those people stood up like I did, I would have never had to go through all this.
Yeah, I asked that question because you bring up COVID a lot. So you're saying it's your most disappointing part, and I wanted to say, well, isn't it about time you let it go? Let what go? The fact that the government of the state I was living in took over my livelihood because they just let that go. So that if they do it again, just let it go again. And let them dictate whether I'm allowed to make. It's not anger. Well, no, it's not anger. It's the only way. You know what? There's one way your way works, and that's for me to run for governor against the guy that shut my business down. Well, I think it's happened, and now you just need to get that bag of rocks.
What if it happens again? Just let it go next time. Just shut down when they tell you to.
No, I think you handle it.
In there lies the problem. And I think a lot of people are going to see it from, what do you mean let it go? Let it go that they're allowed to just shut my family's business down whenever they want?
You have this dark cloud hanging over your head everywhere you go.
No, it's a bright light, bro. It's a bright light. You're just, dude, come to the light, Austin. Don't stay in the closet. Come to the light.
It doesn't seem like a bright light. It seems like
it's a bright light, because you know what? No, you know what? 20 years in that industry, and that company or that government shut my company down. And what did I do? I became an artist out of nowhere, became an artist, and I'm living as good as I've ever lived in my life.
Well, we're going to get into the next steps in a second. First, we're going to take a quick commercial break from our sponsor here.
Unbelievable.
Okay, someone needs to explain to me these gummies have 17 grams of high quality protein, 0 sugar, and only 100 calories. Because they freaking taste like strawberry gummy bears. Feels like I'm cheating on my protein goals, but I'm not. I'm not gonna lie, I was fully expecting another chalky protein snack. Shred gummies completely proved me wrong, and I can understand all the ingredients. This is honestly insane. I linked them below so you can try them yourself. They're definitely worth all the hype they're getting.
Wow. All right.
That was excellent,
great.
actually. That got me hungry. And you're like, dude, you know what? If whatever happens with non-FDA approved stuff and you get shut down, you're just going to let it go. And the 50 grand you spent to get this thing started, don't have a dark cloud over your head. Shut down because they told you to.
I just refuse to keep holding on to the things that frustrate me. I have to let.
Well, I don't wish it upon you that Shred Gummies is taken away from you by a tyrannical government.
All right. So moving on. So you've decided I've gone to Florida. I've settled with the government.
Out of the business.
Again. Out of the business. I'm letting go of the gym business. So what'd you do? You sold those gym businesses or what?
I didn't sell the gym business because they shut me down. Okay. I salvaged what I could. One of them's still open. People up there that loved the gyms wanted to take them over. So I let them take them over, and I did what I could. I moved, and you know what I did? I let go of the fact that I will never live in Vermont again.
I see.
Because I cannot live under that kind of tyranny. And they'll do it again. Listen, they'll do it again.
So what made you decide that the gym business was no more? Like, why didn't you come to Florida and start a gym business here where they were much more lenient?
Well, like you said, though, too. So it was a different thing up there. Like my service was impeccable. My sales and service was bar none compared to anything in Vermont. And here, just like you were saying, it's complete clusterfuck when it comes to the gym industry. People come and go. It's a very much more of a price shop than it is a value build. And I don't want to compete with the EOSs and the LA Fitnesses and the Crunches. That's not what I want to do. I don't want to do a little boutique. And honestly, after 21 years in the industry, I had always been an artist since 2000. It started as a junior in college. I was always a comic book character drawer. That's where it started in high school. I was like the basketball player that went into the art class just because I liked it. Then I played basketball in college, but I still would draw and make T-shirts. Like I had this old print company that would print up my drawings on T-shirts and I'd sell them for beer money. It was awesome. But then, in the 2000s, throughout time, I would always just, paint whatever. Then I was just when my final 2 years in Vermont, I was selling art kind of on the side. I would a lot of the clients at the gym, I'd have just my artwork up in the gym. It'd be pretty cool. So it was kind of I don't want to call it a side hustle. It was just it was cool. I was doing it and people were buying it. So it was fun for me, And then I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna, take the risk and I'm gonna become an artist, professional artist. That's all I'm gonna do. And I met you a year and a half later in my first spot, which I still have in Ybor.
Wow. So the epiphany of when you were going to start basically doing this as a full-time job, when did that happen roughly? I'm
not even gonna say it was an epiphany, dude. This is what's so crazy about me. It wasn't epiphany. I was so angry with the state of Vermont and so angry. Angry with the fact that people, you know what? Not even the state of Vermont, government people that did that. I was so angry with the people of Vermont that wouldn't stand up. And I understand that everyone's not boisterous now outward like me, but it sets you up to be able to be controlled whenever they so choose. So I was so upset that, it was one of those things where I was just going to go about it. And I was just jaded. If you want to say anything, I was jaded by the industry in that state. And I said, I'm not going to restart something that took me 20 years to get to where I was. I'm going to start something brand new. I'm going to take the risk. I want to feel the back against a wall feeling again. I want to scrap like I was when I was 22 years old, driving up to Bemidji, Minnesota, 36 hours to start my very first promotion of a gym.
Nice. Do you remember that first time somebody ever bought a piece of your artart? They're hey, I'm willing to pay
in college, for sure. All the time. My basketball team would buy the shirts. But, for art, yeah, I remember. I remember when somebody just saw it in my house and they're like, "That's so sick. Can I buy it from you?" And I'm like, "Sure."
Yeah. Was that a pretty cool feeling?
Uh, no, it was worth it. I gave them a good deal. It was you know me, I'm a super value guy. Like I would rather sell my artwork for way less than it's worth. And people say it destroys the market of the art. I don't believe so. It gets somebody to have a unique piece of art in their home.
Yeah.
Made by me.
Got it. Well, when you did decide you were going to do this like full time, what did you create? Like, I mean, I guess like, how did you get started? So like, with me, I said I ran.
I found a place. I negotiated a low rent. I did a 3-month teaser. So I said, can I pay in full for 3 months in this place? I just want to make sure that Ybor City is, there's no shootings next door. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there was, but I did it. And then I met you very shortly after, and I just turned it into my own thing. And it's evolved many times, as you know. I have multiple locations where my art's hanging and selling, and I have a new location coming in September, which I'm super excited for. But it's just been a battle ever since.
What made you decide? I know you kind of already mentioned you were doing like comic book drawings and stuff originally. Yeah. Is that kind of what got you into the pop art style, or what?
I've always wanted pop art. Yeah, I mean, doing X-Men and everything like that, that's where it starts. You know me, I'm nostalgia, 80s, 90s nostalgia. So for me, it's fine lines. It's easier than doing like portraits and stuff. I had done those classes, but I honestly, you know me, I don't like to spend the time. I don't want to spend 60, 70 hours on an art piece to sell it for big money. I'd rather give a good amount of my time for a good value and have some very unique art in places.
What's like kind of one of the bigger challenges you're facing right now with the business? Anything?
With art right now, yes. Ybor's grown and 275's grown. The biggest challenge for me, honestly, is getting to an art studio that's 40. It used to be 25 minutes away, and then some days it's 42 an hour away. That's the biggest challenge.
So it's not driving business.
Well, business is always going to be there, remember. And I have, I tell a lot of people too, 20 of my clients represent probably 75% of my business every month. Isn't that crazy?
Wow. That is crazy.
Yeah. And that's because, they get first dibs on things. They get a much less expensive. And, reaching out to me personally is the best way to get my stuff at the best value.
Got it. And so why did you choose Ybor as far as like your first place to open a studio?
I've lived here before. I'd lived here for like 8-9 years prior to moving up to Vermont. And Ybor was always the kind of art culture of Tampa. I mean, you must know that. You're a Tampa guy through and through. What's the more, other than St. Pete, which I ain't going there, what's the most artsy place that you can think of?
Yeah, I mean, Ybor definitely has, a little bit of an art scene, and it's historic and,
very centrally located, less than 10 minutes from downtown Tampa, less than 5 minutes from Channelside. Channelside's blowing up right now. Yeah. And honestly, dude, you talk about grim marketing. You know what I did for the first year? I'd go down there 6 days a week. I had a lot of vintage stuff that I bought. Shout out to my boy Sound Barrier up north. But I bought some old school stuff from this old skateboard shop guy that has a building with all the best jazz. So I was, I was selling some vintage stuff and selling my artwork and posters. I had old school movie posters, and I was buying up stuff. And it was awesome. I was down there all the time, and I would put out my artwork right out front. It faces the Columbia restaurant. I remember some of my very first clients were coming out of lunch on a Tuesday or Wednesday afternoon, seeing my artwork out by the front stoop and just walking to their car and me just striking up a conversation as I'm painting on the porch.
Nice.
That's how it starts. And then when they become clients and they have a lot of friends from South Tampa because they're eating at the Columbia, but they work in South Tampa or live in South Tampa. And that's how it starts.
Right. So from a perspective of getting new clients now, is it just basically all word of mouth? Yeah.
No, it shows for me. So I do about 2 or 3 shows a month. Shout out Blair. She does Market Lane. We've had her on the What's Good Tampa show. That's cool because she gives me multiple spaces and I really get to showcase my art. Not necessarily selling a bunch of art there, but that's really where you that's where you can really drive business for like later dates. And then shout out to Tyler. He's actually having a huge show in October. But he, back in the day, I want to say a year ago, Water Street and Armature Works, and there was a ton of shows that you could actually sell art at, and it was very good. And they've really kind of gone away from that for whatever reason. But those were very, very helpful for me as well, selling my art as I finished it, going into that South Tampa market. So you got to give a shout out there as well.
Got it.
But right now, yeah. So for me, like I said, I'm going against the tech. I think it's going to be gone. So for me, yeah, some shows when they're good. But the other thing is just getting to know, people. Referrals are huge. But it's literally just, coming up with, ways to build relationships, whether they buy art or not, it's fine. Just build good relationships.
Right. What would you, I kind of want to, we're getting towards our end here, and I want to ask you, for somebody who does want to, is an artist and kind of wants to start their own art business, what advice would you give them, to get started?
Don't hold on to the idea of your art as I would rather not sell it. I think if you have a piece that if you want to run an art business and you want to sell and pay your bills from it, the materials, I have a little bit more materials because I do resin on wood, and there's a lot of building in the back and clips in wood and stuff like that. But if you're an artist just painting on canvas, the number one thing I would say is sell your artwork. That means if you have a piece for a month, okay, and you want $350 for that piece, and you still have it a month later, sell the thing for $150 if that's what it takes. Make 2 more.
All right. Got it.
And a lot of artists hate to hear that. They hate it.
Okay, so the thing you're saying, just don't
your art.
Yeah,
sell your art. Somebody loves it. Well, get connected to it. I'm very connected to every piece I sell, but I sell it to somebody else.
Right.
You'll never find me with 30 pieces available for sale.
Yeah, got it.
Because it's sold.
Right. So sell your art, and the best way to sell your art, just kind of get it out there in the public eye as much as you possibly can.
Well, just like anything though, too. Let's just say you're going to lunch. It's not just dropping a card at the place you're having sushi. It's introducing yourself to the owner of the sushi and maybe saying, hey, this is another thing too. Whether you say you go to the Village Inn for breakfast, whatever. Talk to the owner, talk to the manager and say, hey, is there any chance I could throw a piece of art in here for the month? I'm going to do a little giveaway. They can put their name and email and phone contact information to me. I want to show them an original piece of art and then give away something that's worth $200 or $300, prints or a small original. A lot of times they're like, yeah, that would be awesome for local art to be in this place. Absolutely. So, and if they say, oh, that's a corporate thing, and if you leave it at that, you'll never put it in. One thing I do is I just went to a cannabis store, and I'm not a cannabis consumer, but they're like, yeah, we don't really do that. And then 15 minutes later, as I'm talking with the manager, I'm set up to go in tomorrow actually and leave a piece of art for the next month and do a giveaway. I do it also at like apartment complexes, like high-end apartment complexes. They love artwork in their front place.
Right. Got it.
Let people see your art and sell your art.
Yeah, got it. Well, very cool.
Well, thank you for listening to my spiel. Can next episode be about you and where you're headed?
Yeah, we can do that. The other thing too, I'm looking forward to, we're going to have a marketing discussion. That's my specialty.
Yes.
And we'll have a good battle back and forth on guerrilla style marketing versus today's marketing trends. We'll talk about that. And kind of get both of our opinions, which are very different, as most people know.
Yep.
So I think
for episode 4, that's a great idea too, is when we get into the marketing, just to leave them kind of with a teaser next time, where it's really going to be about this new age. Like, you are somebody that really concentrates on that, and maybe I can learn something from that. And then I'm somebody that is all about human relationships, and keeping those relationships strong, referral business, and talking to people instead of just communicating with them through social media and online. So I think that'll be a good kind of debate / value of conversation.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Well, thanks for sharing your story. It's very fascinating.
Oh yeah. And if you want to buy some of my art or check out my art, go to vintage_gimmick on Instagram, vintagegimmick.com to buy prints and you come check me out at my shows. I do first Friday in Wesley Chapel and second Saturdays in Clearwater and Coachman Park.
Nice.
My next big show is September 18th, the Gimmick Art Show live from the Cleveland district. I'm actually going to have you bring out Shred Gummies for that show and set up a booth there.
Nice. That'll be fun. All right, cool.
Yeah, September 18th from 5:30 to 9.
September 18th, 5:30 to 9.
400 right. Cleveland Street.
400
Clearwater.
All right, sweet. Well, cool. Well, and you guys,
where do we find you?
Tampa's Life on Instagram or Shred Gummies or at shredgummies.com. You can buy some product. And then we will see you guys in episode 4.
Peace.